Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to use the EDATE function. So here, this is what the EDATE function does. Basically returns a serial number that represents a date indicated by a number of months before or after a start date. I'm going to show two examples of how we could use the EDATE function. This first example would be like if we were creating an invoice and we wanted to find out the payment date 3 months in advance or 2 months in advance or 6 months in advance. So for example, we had an invoice date of January 1st, 2017. And there's 3 months to pay. We're sending it out. We're going to use the EDATE function. Just type EDATE, press tab. The start date is here, right, comma, and then the amount of months. So that's going to be 3 months. Close parentheses, press enter, and it's going to bring you back a serial number. Of course, there's a serial number that represents the dates. And you'll find out that in Excel, that's how dates are represented, as serial numbers. All you need to do is change the formatting. So in the number, under Home tab, go to General, and just change it to short date, and you'll get the date. Of course, that's pretty self-explanatory when you think about it, using the EDATE function. If I know it's 3 months to the date, I know that in 3 months from January 1st, it should be April 1st. So let's say we had an example of, instead of January 1st, let me click here, it's January 31st. And maybe we have 1 month to pay. And you would think, in 1 month, that should be February. And now February does not have a 31st, but the EDATE function is pretty smart enough to figure it out. Once I press enter, it will figure out that in February, there's only 28 days in 2017. It knows that end of date would be the 28th, even though it's 1 month ahead of the invoice date of 1/31/2017. So that's the way that that's the first example of how we can use the EDATE function. So let's go to a second example of how we could use the EDATE function. Right here in my second tab, what we can do is use the EDATE function in conjunction with another function to figure out the years to retirement. Let's say that we were born on January 1st, and we'll make this some far off here, 1965, right? And then we'll assume the retirement date is going to be based off of the 65-year retirement. We're going to assume that we're going to retire in 65. So with the EDATE function, what we're going to do is do EDATE. I'm going to press the tab key to start that. The start date here and the number of months. Well, the number of months is going to be 12 months, right, times 65 years, right? So that's going to give us 1/1/2030. So that's going to be when the retirement day is going to be, January 1st, 2030. Well, let's say, for example, today, what would we figure out? How many more years do we have to retirement? We're going to use the year frac function. So I'm going to type in year, and this is frac, and you see that as I hover over it, the tooltip says it's going to return to year fraction, representing the number of whole days between the start date and end date. All right, so I'll press tab. The start date is going to be today's date. I'll just type in today. Today is 4/21/2017. Let me close parentheses there. And the end date is this date. Close parentheses, press enter, and it's going to give us the years to retirement is going to be 12.69 years, right? A little bit over 12 and a half years. So that's another way that we can use the EDATE function in conjunction with a year frac function. And it'll give us an estimate, well, not really an estimate, but it'll give us the range of how many more years do we have to retirement. So there's two examples of how we can use the EDATE function. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching.